What up, everybody? This is your man's Tech G back for another video. And in this video, you will learn about the basics of data and information assets, the importance of investing in security, the relationships of data to creating information, intellectual property, digital property rights, or products, I should say, and the data-driven business decisions. So that is the stuff we're going to learn. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. All right, data, information, and assets. So in today's world of information technology, data and information assets need to be treated as the most important asset an organization has. The reason being is that physical assets such as land, buildings, machinery, and raw materials are almost impossible, if not very challenging, to steal and or compromise. Data and information assets can be easily stolen, and the information that is at risk of getting stolen can oftentimes be extremely valuable to people who have no business having access to the information. So just think of how valuable a person's social security number is on the black market when it comes to identity theft. Investing in security. So one of the most in-demand jobs within the IT industry is that of information security, also known as InfoSec. This career path focuses primarily on protecting internet connections, inbound, outbound email traffic, outbound connections, internal networks, servers, and a host of other functions and responsibilities. The reason being is that data and information are extremely valuable to organizations that have a right to the data and to those who do not have a right to access the data. So when it comes to an organization protecting data, an organization should not skimp on the protection due to costs. As a matter of fact, organizations have three financial considerations to make as they plan to implement security to protect their data. And these three considerations are a cost-benefit analysis, also known as a CBA, a return on investment, known as an ROI, and a total cost of ownership, known as a TCO. Cost benefit analysis. So basically a CBA for security estimates. Basically a CBA for security is estimates that analyzes the strengths and weaknesses of the approaches you are considering, so you can find the best method to utilize to improve your security at the lowest cost. So if you look at this picture on the screen here, we have that of a security camera. Now, if you're going to perform a cost benefit analysis, you might have these considerations up. Let's just say you have a data center or just some building in general that you want to protect. Would it be more cost efficient for you to install live cameras all around the perimeter of the building, in the hallways, in front of certain doors, so that you can monitor activity all over the place? Or would it be cost beneficial for you to install maybe half live and half dummy cameras, to where when people look at the camera, they can't tell if it's real or not, and that dummy camera can act as a deterrent to prevent people from accessing places that they have no business accessing? Like, which would be more cost beneficial for your organization? So that is something to take into consideration when performing a CBA. Return on investment. So an ROI is the percentage comparing the net profit and cost of investment when you make an investment. The higher the ROI, the more efficient an investment is. So an example is this. If a business spends $25 to make $100, the net profit is $75. So you take 100 minus 25 equals 75. And the ROI is 300%. Calculating the ROI on security can be trickier, as it involves determining your organization's risk exposure and the reduction in risk, which is also known as risk mitigation, that can be achieved from a particular security measure, as well as the loss of ongoing business that the news of the data breach could cause. So sounds like a bunch of crazy words here. Remember, you don't have to be a subject matter expert in this for this particular cert. You just have to be familiar with the concept, ladies and gentlemen. And then we have total cost of ownership. So a TCO is used to calculate the total cost of the security steps your organization is contemplating. Some of these costs could be hiring security personnel, insurance premiums, losses with security versus losses without security, hardware, firewalls, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, you're just kind of analyzing how much is it going to cost. Let's just say you want to go with hiring security team. You might look at the price. Okay, we got to hire the security personnel. They're going to sit out here and guard this community or guard this building. Well, then you have to factor in exactly how much is it actually going to cost besides just the upfront purchase of hiring the security personnel. Because now you might have to factor in their salaries, bonuses, overtime, health insurance costs, et cetera, et cetera. So just like this picture on the screen here of this iceberg, what we normally see is the purchase price, which represents 30% of whatever it is that we're planning on buying. What we oftentimes don't see or we fail to pay attention to is the actual hidden cost, which is the iceberg that's under the part of the iceberg that's under the water, which can normally become ongoing costs associated with the purchase of a product or a service. All right, so next we're going to talk about, one more thing before we move on. So understand that these costs, they should also take into account any regulatory requirements for specific security measures as related to certain industries. So you have to factor that stuff in when it comes to TCOs as well. All right, so moving on. Relationships, the data to creating information. So the terms data and information are often used interchangeably, but there is a difference. The difference between data and information is as follows. Data is raw, unprocessed information, and information is processed from data. So another way to understand this is you can think of data as just a bunch of random numbers put together. So if you look at this example right here, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's just a bunch of random numbers that has no meaning other than just 9 numbers. But when you put the numbers into this format, 1, 2, 3, dash 4, 5, dash 6, 7, 8, 9, now this data actually takes on meaning, which means this represents what you're looking at on your screen is the format for a social security number. All right, next we're going to talk about the 5 C's, ladies and gentlemen, the 5 C's. So another way to understand how data is turned into information can be explained using a concept called the 5 C's. The 5 C's was created by Thomas Davenport and Larry Prusak, whom co-authored a book titled Working Knowledge back in 1998. So the 5 C's stand for this: contextualization, categorization, calculation, corrections, and condensation. All right, so step 1 is contextualization. And what does that mean? So basically it's talking about why is data gathered, why data is gathered. And so basically you could think of it as a listing that was created to help buyers and sellers meet online to buy and sell goods. So think of the website Amazon.com. Amazon created this website to put buyers and sellers together to sell goods. And so all that information that's input into Amazon is considered data. Next will be categorization. So this is discussing the key components of data. So each product is assigned a category and subcategories by the seller to make it easier for potential buyers to find their product. So once again, once you go to Amazon.com, you'll notice that the website is broken up into categories to help you navigate that website, which has literally millions on top of millions of products stored in their database. Step 3 will be called calculation. So this is a mathematical or statistical analysis. And in the example of Amazon, so this step could be the determination of the number of items that matches the shopper's search. So if you're on Amazon and you type in basketball, instead of you getting every item listed on Amazon returned to you on your screen, you'll just get items that have been categorized with the word basketball. Step 4 is called corrections. So from the Amazon example, this enables the seller to post corrections to a listing or to remove a listing that was in error. So if you're selling stuff on Amazon and you see that there's an error, you can go into the database and fix the error, or you can just totally delete the product or attribute that caused the error. And step 5 is called condensation. So this is talking about summarizing, graphing, and presenting data in tables. So if we go back to this Amazon example, Amazon provides brief listings of matching items, displaying of titles, descriptions, prices, photos that allow for a customer to click on to gather more information. So every time you go to Amazon and let's just say we're looking for basketballs, you click on basketball, it's going to pull up all this information telling you about who's selling it, what the price is, a product description, pictures you can look at, customer reviews. Then it's going to display related products that you might be interested in or products that they're going to try to upsell you. So let's just say you want to get a basketball. Well, they might try to sell you some basketball shoes to go with the basketball. Who knows? So that is what condensation is in reference to. But the key thing to remember is this, right? Without these 5 steps in place, it would be virtually impossible to navigate Amazon to look for any product on that website. Meaning, if you didn't have a way to categorize all this data, separate this data, put it into, it's like I say, it's proper categories, you would probably never be able to find exactly what you're looking for. Because every time you would go in there to search, you would just be presented with pages upon pages of millions upon millions of products. And nobody wants to sit around here and do all that. All right, let's talk about intellectual property, ladies and gentlemen. Intellectual property. So intellectual property is a category of property that includes intangible creations of the human intellect that can be copyrighted, patented, or trademarked. And although intellectual property can be in the form of a book, video games, movies, computer programs, the intangible creation stored in various physical manifestations is what is actually protected by intellectual property rights and laws. Everybody understand that? Cool beans. Let's talk about trademarks. So a trademark is a type of intellectual property right consisting of a recognizable sign, design, or expression which identifies products or services of a particular source from those of others. Although trademarks are used to identify services, those things can also be called service marks. So a registered trademark is a trademark that has been registered with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And after a trademark has been registered, any other entity that tries to use it would be infringing upon that trademark. So if you look at the picture here, you see we all are familiar with Nike, Microsoft, CNN, HBO. All of those logos right there are all registered trademarks, or at least they should be registered trademarks. And we have trademarks, service marks, and registered trademarks. Just got finished talking about this. So trademarks, service marks, and registered trademarks, they're all simply called trademarks at the end of the day. But they differ in how they are obtained and the legal issues involved. So a trademark is a word, a phrase, symbol, or logo that is used by a brand to identify and distinguish a product. A service mark is a word, phrase, or symbol or logo that is used to brand, identify, and distinguish a service. So a trademark is in reference to a product, and a service mark is in reference to a service. So here's an example of what I mean. So let's just say that it's Valentine's Day and you're going to get your boo thing, some candy from the local candy store, right? So the candy store that you may visit, they may have their name and logo registered as a service mark to indicate that they are providing the service of selling you candy. Now, while you are in there, you may buy some candy from them, and that candy may have their name and logo on the candy, and that will be classified as a trademark because it is a physical product that you can purchase from them. Everybody understand the difference? Cool beans. Let's talk about copyrights, ladies and gentlemen. So a copyright is a law that gives the owner of a work, and a work could be classified as a book, movie, picture, song, website, etc. But it gives the owner of a work the right to say how other people can use it. Copyrights last for a limited period of time. The length of time can vary from country to country. A copyright does not have to be registered, but registering a copyright is helpful in determining damages if a copyright is infringed. Both commercial and open source software is copyrighted. The purpose of copyrighting a particular open source program might be to enable provisions of an open source license. So basically, if you get you some free software off the internet, that stuff can be copyrighted as well. Copyright terms and conditions. So organizations that have copyrights, trademarks, and service marks typically specify terms and conditions, also known as terms of use, under which these could be legally used. So anytime you upload a new Microsoft operating system to your computer, Microsoft has you agree to a terms of use statement explaining exactly how you can use their software. Even though you purchased their software and you are installing that software on a computer that you purchased, you are essentially licensing their software. And all of that stuff is outlined in their terms of use statement. Talk about copyright infringement. So copyright infringement, which is also known as piracy, is the use of works protected by copyright law without permission for a usage where such permission is required, thereby infringing certain exclusive rights granted to the copyright holder, such as the right to reproduce, distribute, display, or perform the protected work, or to make derivative works. So think of people who are out there bootlegging movies, video games, and computer software. Those are examples of copyright infringement. Patents. A patent is a form of intellectual property that gives its owners the legal right to exclude others from making, using, selling, and importing an invention for a limited period of years, typically 20 years. In exchange for publishing and enabling public disclosure of the invention. So for an invention to be patented, it must be novel, useful, non-obvious, and perform more than one function. Let's talk about digital products. Digital products. So digital products, also known as digital goods or e-goods, are intangible goods that exist in digital form. Examples of digital products could be ebooks, downloadable music, internet radio, internet television, streaming media, fonts, logos, photos, graphics, subscriptions, online ads, internet coupons, electronic tickets, downloadable software, mobile apps, cloud-based applications, online games, e-learning, etc. This thing can go on and on to the break of dawn is what I'm saying. But pretty much anything that you can use, that you can purchase, I should say, or engage in via online, whether it's in the cloud or it's downloadable to a device that you own, that is considered a digital product. Software licensing, which is also known as end-user licensing agreements, software licensing terms, patents, copyrights, and trademarks, they apply equally to digital products as well. Let's talk about data-driven business decisions. So data-driven business decisions is the process of using data to inform a business of what it does. And there are 3 steps involved in this process. The first step is data capture and collection. The second step is data correlation. And the third step is meaningful reporting. So we talk about data capture and collection. Data capture and collection is the process of determining exactly what type of data is to be captured for collection so that this data can be properly analyzed and or stored for future reference. So first you need to figure out exactly what type of data do you want to capture, because nobody wants to go out there and just capture everything. Next, we have data correlation. Data correlation is a statistical association or close relationship between two or more items. An example could be a correlation between the price of a house and the income of a buyer. So the higher the buyer's income, the probability of the more expensive the house may be that the buyer is looking to purchase. However, data correlation does not mean causation, meaning one must not automatically jump to conclusions. So just because a person is a high income earner doesn't automatically mean that this person is interested in buying an expensive house. That's what that is actually talking about. Meaningful reporting, ladies and gentlemen, meaningful reporting. So meaningful reporting simply means providing information needed to help an organization make an informed decision. A meaningful report condenses all of the raw data used to create useful information to provide some sort of output that provides a somewhat of a bird's eye view to let you know what is going on, as opposed to providing a report that just goes into extreme grave detail to the point where a person would potentially zone out from information overload. So basically, when you're out there providing reports, you need to get straight to the point and what it is that you're trying to convey in the shortest amount of time as possible, or in the smallest report as possible, so that people don't get overwhelmed with information overload and just fall asleep on you. That's what that actually is referring to. All right, so let's do some check on learning, ladies and gentlemen, some check on learning. So first question, which of the following best expresses the relationship of data and information? Would it be data is the same as information? Would it be information must be gathered to create data? Would it be data and information are not related? Or would it be data is the source of information? So which of the following best expresses the relationship of data and information? And the correct answer would be data is the source of information. You cannot create information unless you have data. And basically, information is organized data, is essentially all it is. Question number 2, which of the following represents a statistical relationship between two types of data? Would it be data capture and data collection? Would it be data correlation? Would it be data extrapolation? Or would it be intellectual data property, also known as IDP? So which of the following represents a statistical relationship between two types of data? The correct answer would be data correlation. You are comparing one set of data up against another set of data to figure out what the relationship is. And finally, the last question, which of the following best describes digital security? Would it be encrypted data that has been unencrypted, interpreted, and processed to become meaningful for a particular question, situation, or requirement? Would it be processes, methods, and attitudes leading to protecting data, information, processes, and personal information held by an organization? Would it be information that is stored electronically and can be retrieved and transmitted in a private fashion through cryptographic functions? Or would it be D, being safe and comfortable in a controlled environment? So which of the following best describes digital security? And the correct answer would be processes, methods, and attitudes leading to protecting data, information, processes, and personal information held by an organization. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We just got finished talking about the value of data and information, where we talked about the basics of data and information as assets, the importance of investing in security, the relationship of data to creating information, intellectual property, digital products, and data-driven business decisions. If you want more information on this subject, please visit my website, technologyg.com, for more information so that you can go out there and pass this CompTIA IT Fundamentals Certification exam. Until next video, I'll holler at you guys later. Peace.